Hello everyone, good day. Welcome to the HIV and other TTI refresher workshop. I am Raymond Lotero and today I will be the one to give you the lecture on blood screening policies and confirmatory referral system for transfusion transmissible infections. We will be revisiting pertinent blood policies that we use as a guide in our daily activities in the BSF as well as some updates regarding the confirmatory referral to TTI-NRL. So before I start, I will just have some disclaimers for my lecture. Firstly, TTI-NRL does not endorse any brand of reagents and supplies. And the pictures being used in my lecture are taken during our monitoring activities and were collected with consent. Let me start by emphasizing the mission and the vision of the National Blood Program, that is, to provide safe blood for all Filipinos, with the mission of blood safety, blood adequacy, the rational use of blood, as well as having a network of well-coordinated blood service facilities to provide safe blood to all Filipinos. So this is still in line with our Republic Act 7719 or the National Voluntary Blood Services Act of 1994. In 2020, the Department of Health released the Philippine Health Facility Development Plan for 2020 to 2040. Emphasized here are that blood service facilities are intended to provide safe, adequate, and accessible blood to patients and transfusing facilities. The policies and issuances relevant to standards and operation of blood service facilities are highlighted in this health facility plan. So we will be revisiting these pertinent issuances and policies. Let's start with the DOH Admin Order 2005-0002 or the Rules and Regulation for the Establishment of the Philippine National Blood Services. This admin order talks about the promotion and the encouragement of voluntary blood donation in the community to provide safe, adequate, affordable, and equitable distribution of blood and blood products and the rational use of blood to our patients. So we know the different types of blood service facilities. It is emphasized in Admin Order 2008-0008, the rules and regulation governing the regulation of blood service facilities. So we have the blood station, blood collecting units, the BCUBS, you have the blood bank, and then we have the blood bank with additional function and the blood center. It is also emphasized in this admin order the responsibilities, the standard and technical requirements, and the license to operate of various blood service facilities. Listed here are the activities of various blood service facilities. So kindly check on this list. And I would like to emphasize that only the blood center and the blood bank with additional functions are allowed to perform the testing of blood units for TTI. So kindly revisit your licenses if you are a blood bank with additional function, and if you are a blood center, kayo lang po ang allowed to perform the serology. Recently, we were able to receive information regarding the upgrading of hospital blood banks or blood banks to become a blood bank with additional function or a blood center. This is discouraged because in the same admin order, it is emphasized that every blood service facility shall be an integral part of a blood service network. So this is the model for a blood service network. There is a lead blood service facility and there are network of blood service facilities in a specific geographical area. your blood service facility will act as a lead to do the advocacy, the collection, component preparation, the serology testing, in order to make sure that the quality of blood is equally distributed to all the network facilities. Also, in the admin order, it is highlighted that all BSF shall comply with the standards and technical requirements of the inspection tools. There is a need to collect only blood from healthy, non-remunerated blood donors, and you should follow the testing methodology required by the Department of Health. Also, there is no need to perform retesting of blood from your Philippine Blood Center, from various chapters of the Philippine Red Cross or regional blood centers. And lastly, that blood and blood products should only be obtained from licensed and authorized BSF. For you to become a part of a network in your area, you should have a certificate of inclusion. So your certificate of inclusion will tell you that you are part of a network in your area. Your Admin Order 2021-0066 emphasizes the Certificate of Inclusion that should be issued by the Regional Director of the Department of Health, your CHD, based on the assessment of your lead blood service facility and the regional blood coordinator. So the requirements for the certificate of inclusion and your classification will depend on your type of blood service facility. If you are a blood station, if you are a blood bank, so etc. So this is the checklist on the renewal for the application for Certificate of Inclusion. Again, this is being released by your regional offices in your respective areas. So for you to become a network or part of the network for the hospital blood bank, a blood bank with additional function, and a blood center, you should first have a certificate of participation to EQUAS from TTI NRL, and you will have a Medtex that is trained by TTR NRL for HIV and other TTI proficiency training workshop, and there is an updated file on the referral of initially reactive blood to TTI NRL. So please be reminded with this checklist, especially to the BSF that are applying for certificate of inclusion. And for those facilities naman that are lead, they're the ones that checks on the requirements. Kindly be strict on this list of requirements. So in line with the universal healthcare, so upgrading, di ba, from hospital blood bank is hereby discouraged. But while in transition, the same column for your blood center is provided for compliance. So kindly check on your certificate of inclusion. So during our many visits in the different BSF in the country, we were able to discover some discrepancies wherein the certificate of inclusion is not consistent with the license to operate. Please be reminded that your license to operate from the health facilities and the services bureau or your licensing bureau supersedes your certificate of inclusion. We were able to discover some BSF that their certificate of inclusion is blood bank with additional function, when in fact their LTO or license to operate is only a blood bank. So hopefully we will be encountering less errors on this. So kindly double check the consistency of your license to operate and the certificate of inclusion. So this is the list of the designated BSF in the Philippines and their classification as to the specialty. We have the national, subnational blood centers that is actually operational right now, and the different regional blood centers that is about to open or are already in operation. So hopefully more regional blood centers will be operating all over the Philippines. So in Department Memo 2016-0451, there is a designation of lead blood service facilities. So take note of the lead blood service facilities in your region, in your area. So these are the different lead BSF in Luzon. This is the list for Visayas. So sila po ang nag-oversee sa mga different na areas. And this is the one in Mindanao. Now let's go to our Department Order 2020-0070, the No Family or Replacement Blood Donation Policy. In 2020, the Department of Health and VBSP was able to record the 1% requirement from the WHO in terms of the number of blood donors in the country. However, there is a catch on that data. Only 78% of that donation are actually coming from voluntary donations. So the main objective of this department order is to provide a framework for a very efficient implementation for 100% voluntary donation. So there is creation of an environment for voluntary donation, foster a culture in voluntary blood donation. So it's emphasized in schools, in communities, in different organizations, and establish a culture of blood donation. So have to build and maintain a safe and sustainable voluntary donor base and provide quality donor service and care, yung the best po natin na customer service para bumalik po ang mga donors natin. Also to provide information and encourage participation of the patient's relative in community-based MBDs. So sometimes there are patients or relatives of the patients that will go to our facility. So we will not be requiring them of donors if we have stocks on hand. Instead, encourage them to participate in community-based MBDs. Next, we have the Department Circular 2016-0318. This talks about the new maximum allowable fees for our blood and blood products. So the blood bank and the blood center shall operate on a non-profit basis but may be allowed to collect blood service fees that must not be greater than as prescribed by the Department of Health. So previously, our whole blood is just at 1,500, right? If I am not mistaken. And the PAC-RBC is 1,100. And our platelet or frozen plasma is at 700 pesos. So with this department circular, the fees was increased to 1,800 for whole blood, 1,500 for PAC-RBC, and 1,000 pesos for your platelet concentrate, your fresh frozen plasma, your cryoprecipitate, and your cryosupernate. So, saan po nanggagaling or napupunta yung ating pong binabayad na mga fees dito? So, again, blood is being donated from our donors. So, wala po siyang cost. The processing fee being charged to our patients are coming from the following. Number one, the donor recruitment and screening. Of course, we will be having some costs there. The blood collection, the facility, the blood bags being used, and then we have the testing, which I think a significant portion of the processing fee goes to, and the component preparation, of course, yung storage natin, as well as the general administrative na mga expenses, yung mga sweldo natin sa medtech, yung kuryente natin, yung supplies natin sa ating mga facilities. Again, there's no fees to be collected by our facility to our patients that is equivalent to deposits, your blood bands, the non-replacement fees. So, di ba kung ano-anong mga fees ang ating ini-include minsan. So, that is not allowed with this department circular. So, the expenses for transfusion-related procedures shall be separate. Your compatibility testing, that is a separate fee. So, no honorarium also must be given to donors because, again, we are highlighting the need for 100% voluntary donation. So you should be transparent in terms of the service fees that you charge to your patients. So this must be posted in an area wherein makikita ng lahat yung mga fees na kanilang binabayaran. Next, we will go to some policies regarding the testing of our blood for transfusion transmissible infections. So, hopefully, sobrang familiar na tayo and we know this by heart. The Department Circular 2013-0132, the National Council for Blood Services Technical Committee for the recommendation for transfusion transmissible infection screening. So according to this department circular, you should perform parallel or simultaneous testing for the 5 mandatory TTI are HIV, are hepatitis B, hepatitis C, syphilis, and malaria. Again, we would like to emphasize that it should be parallel or simultaneous. Ibig sabihin, sabay-sabay siyang ipiperform. It should not be that uunahin mo yung particular na TTI. Example is your syphilis or hepatitis B because of the increased prevalence. So that is not allowed in this department circular. Also highlighted are the testing markers that should be being tested in our different na mga analytes. For your HIV, dapat po is antibody. For antibody or antigen antibody, there are combo tests, your EIA and CLIA na mga assays. For hepatitis C, you have your anti-HCV at least or a combo also. Meron po available for EIA and CLIA. For hepatitis B, you have surface antigen available with EIA and CLIA. For syphilis, you have your anti-TP, which is available for EIA and CLIA platforms. But pwede rin po nating i-perform using yung ating particle agglutination. Again, pwede po siya. And for malaria, you can actually perform the malaria antigen antibody or for the microscopy for the presence of malaria parasite. Again, pwede po ang RDT sa ating malaria. Okay? So this is the testing algorithm by our department circular. So blood units should be tested simultaneously with the 5 mandatory TTIs. So that's your 5 TTIs. If you are performing that and there is an initial reactivity to any of them, dapat po you have to quarantine the blood units of the samples that tested initially reactive. Okay? So, after that, you send to TTI NRL in RITM for confirmatory testing. If ever naman po na okay naman yung ating testing, non-reactive sa atin pong mga different na mga TTI, and the quality assurance process was observed, you can release the blood for transfusion. Now, inclusion of your nucleic acid testing for blood screening. So, naging popular po yung ating tinatawag na known as the PCR, siguro pinaka-popular na klase ng ating nucleic acid testing during the pandemic. So kahit saan mini-mention yung PCR, PCR, PCR. So this is not really a new technology. So as early as 2011, it was already mentioned by the Department of Health sa ating pong Manual of Standard for Blood Service Facilities that they really recommend the testing of our blood using NAT. So, blood units that tested non-reactive to our hepatitis B surface antigen, yung atin pong hepatitis C, HIV, may undergo nucleic acid testing because this will be another layer of blood safety. But again, not testing your PCR is not a confirmatory test for TTI. Hindi po natin pwedeng tanggalin yung atin pong serology because different naman po ang purpose or detection ng atin pong EIA, ng atin pong CLIA as compared to our nucleic acid testing. So if ever po your facility is performing po yung ating nucleic acid testing, obviously there will be a different processing fee. Just make sure that your patients or the relative of the patients know that you are performing or you performed not on the blood units being transfused to their patients, and that the processing fee should be posted in your facility. So after simultaneous testing using your serology for the 5 mandatory TTI, those samples that tested non-reactive only are the ones that should be performed with your NAT. Pag nagkaroon po ng reactivity naman sa ating nucleic acid testing, there's detection of your DNA or RNA, kindly refer to TTI-NRL. So for those that found reactive just in the serology, you should already send it for confirmatory. There's no need for you to perform NAT on these blood units. However, based on our experience right now, there had been instances that some blood units were requested or tested reactive or detection with NAT, pero hindi pa sila na-perform using your serology. So this is happening in areas or in regions na kailangan nilang habulin yung schedule for the NAT. So pinapadala nila sa kanilang mga lead facilities or catchment centers to perform yung NAT na hindi pa na-perform yung ating serology. So at times, this is costly because sayang hindi na natin sana pinadala yung blood units na to kasi there is already reactivity in your serology, in your EIA or your CLIA. So obviously, there is detection already in your PCR or in your NAT. So sana na-screened na siya doon sa ating serology, sa ating ERA or CLIA. But we know that sometimes we have to go through with the requirements of your catchment area or maybe may mga expiring reagents tayong hinahabol. Next, the same pa rin ng ating Department Circular 2013-0132 is the updated sensitivity and specificity of the testing kits. Nagkaroon po ng Annex A with this Department Circular. So kindly focus your attention on the sensitivity and specificity of the various na mga analytes natin. For HIV, hepatitis B, your hepatitis C, and your syphilis, sensitivity is pegged at 99.5%. Okay? And now your specificity is 99% or higher. Dati pareho yang 99.5%. So ngayon binabaan ng konti yung ating specificity. Pero assure pa rin natin yung sensitivity, which is our goal in our facilities to have a very sensitive na mga reagent kits. So the NRL SACL, actually you can visit their website. They have a list of the different na mga reagent kits and then the performance of the kits in terms of sensitivity and specificity. The one in our slide is for HIV EIA and emphasized here or the sensitivity and specificity of the kits. So make sure yung inyo pong mga ginagamit ngayon sa lab are actually within the requirements of our department circular, the 99.5% sensitivity and the 99% or higher na ating specificity. Next, I would like to emphasize the need for us to check on our assay kit instructions for use. Yung atin pong mga iba't ibang mga ginagamit na mga reagent kits, when we open the boxes, there's actually our product inserts. You have your IFU in there. So emphasized there are the testing principle of the reagent kits that we use, what kind of detection ang atin pong ang kanila pong ginagamit, if it is for blood safety or just for diagnostic na mga purposes. So kindly check on that. For this one, this Architect HIV combo assay is used as an aid for HIV detection 1 and 2 and used for blood and plasma. So I suggest you have your own compilation of the different assay kit instruction for use sa inyo pong mga ginagamit na mga reagent assays. Now, in procuring your reagents that you use in your laboratory, make sure that it is within the list of the Food and Drug Administration, because according to our DC 2013-0132, your license may be revoked if you will be using unlicensed or unregistered testing kits. So in the past, we were able to encounter facilities that are using kits na hindi pa nag-underwent sa registration or evaluation at that. So please double check whenever you are procuring your kits. So also there are instances that there is one particular kit that have various suppliers or distributors in the Philippines. Check on the supplier that they have your kits evaluated by our SACL and registered in our FDA. Same department circular highlights that only trained and proficient staff shall perform testing of blood units. So we are here in our refresher course. So I believe that all of you are HIV proficient medics performing testing in blood units. So training of HIV proficiency is done by TTI NRL and our friends at NRL Arsakel. So they are the two institutions that provide HIV proficiency training. So the difference probably is in terms of the module for SACL, they are geared towards the diagnostic patients, and our focus here is really for blood safety. So under the GMP guidelines, our good manufacturing practices guideline, the blood that we perform our testing actually represents the blood that should be transfused to our patients. So dapat this will be handled in a quality controlled environment. We should have a good facility, a process in place, maybe using barcoding and very efficient verification steps or practices. To add from our department circular, if found initially reactive, refer to TTI NRL. So if testing naman is performed under strict guidelines and under quality control conditions, there is no need to repeat the test in duplicate if ever there's initial reactivity. And the following blood units shall not be referred to TTI NRL anymore for confirmatory: the reactivity to syphilis, those that are above cutoff points in our hepatitis B surface antigen, and those samples that are found reactive yet not conforming to the standards. Example, if you are performing HIV using RDT, or you are performing pre-donation testing to blood samples. So that is not allowed in our department circular. Retesting policies. So in reality, retesting is happening in the field now. So we would really like to emphasize the various policies regarding retesting. Number one, again, yung ating pong Admin Order 2008-008. It is emphasized there that there is no need for a procuring facility to perform retesting of TTI because it is the responsibility of the issuing BSF that the blood units that is being released by their facility underwent a very strict guidelines in terms of quality. So assure ng mga issuing BSF that these are tested non-reactive or negative to any of the TTI. So their facility is very good, their processes are in place, their equipment are properly calibrated and are maintained regularly, and also their medtechs are HIV proficient. So dapat i-assure ng mga issuing BSF that any blood that we issue in the facility are quality. Also, you have, again, Department Circle 2013-0132, the transfusing facility shall not perform retesting. And atin pong reiteration ng ating no retesting policy for blood units and the set of standard maximum allowable fees, no retesting pa din. And then charging of blood components in accordance to the maximum allowable fees. In cases that hindi natin maaalis yung retesting, please inform your patients or the relative of the patients that you will be performing retesting if you are charging additional fees. Because having them have the consent, they are informed of additional testing na ginagawa sa blood na itatransfuse sa patient nila. Okay? The same department circular highlights that all blood units tested reactive to any of the TTI shall be labeled properly and stored in a separate storage area, storage facility, until it is discarded safely and appropriately or sent to TTI NRL for confirmatory testing. So in the picture, this is properly labeled po ang mga blood units that are reactive to any of the TTI or nucleic acid testing at that. So other facilities uses the sticker labels. Others put this in a yellow or a red bag. And then they have different na mga storage equipments just for the reactive units, or others store them in an area of the facility na malayo sa ating mga blood stocks para wala pong interchanging of the blood units. So only licensed blood service facilities shall be allowed to test the 5 mandatory TTIs. Ano pong mga facilities ito? Just your blood bank with additional function and your blood center. So kayo po, baka po meron ditong blood bank lang or baka meron ditong blood station na nagpe-perform ng ating testing. You are not allowed to perform such because it's only the blood center and the blood bank with additional functions that are mandated to perform the testing. Now, let's go to some updates on the referral. So when we are performing serology testing in the laboratory, so there will be times that we will be encountering initially reactive blood. So for us to be sure of the results or the testing status of these blood units, you will be referring this to TTI NRL. You can actually see this or download this in the website of our ITM. This is the newest revision of the confirmatory referral guidelines For blood units found reactive to transfusion transmissible infections, last year lang po ito natin na-revise. So we will be running through especially sa mga significant changes or updates in our referral guideline. One of the significant changes or update in our referral guideline is about your malaria testing. So if your facility is performing or using your RDT, again, it is allowed as long as it is within the list of the WHO. If you found it positive using your RDT, or if it is in microscopy, you will have to treat it as positive already or malaria case. So there's no need for you to refer to TTI NRL. Okay? So here are the list of the malaria RDTs in the WHO guideline na hindi na po natin kailangang i-refer if ever po yung ginagamit niyo is in the list of WHO. So another changes in our guideline from the previous version. Dati, all blood units and blood component that is found only reactive to HIV, your Hepa B, HCV, and malaria will be sent to TTI-NRL. In our updated guideline, so repeatedly reactive and non-reactive Grayson samples should be sent for confirmatory testing. This is based on the analysis of the NRL from the EQUAS, from the negative validation studies, even po sa ating confirmatory testing, that some non-reactive gray zone sa atin pong mga TTI, upon testing or using yung NAT, there's actually detection of DNA or RNA. So in our new guideline, you need to send it to TTI NRL for confirmatory testing. So let's run through again with our referral guidelines. I know as HIV proficient medtechs in the blood service facility, you already know this by heart, but we will really want to emphasize because at times obviously mayroong mga steps dito na in a way hindi natin nasusunod. So nagkakaroon ng delay in terms of processing ng atin pong mga referrals. So let's run through it again. First, for referral at natin is you write or encode yung inyong pong mga request. You prepare the samples, you perform the packing, and send to TTI NRL. Step number 1, write or encode the data. So this version of the confirmatory referral request is available po sa atin pong website. There are instances we are able to encounter some BSF na gumagamit pa rin po ng lumang mga forms. So kindly update the form or the confirmatory request form that you are using with the most current revision. Okay? So this is how it looks like for those na hindi pa po familiar sa atin pong bagong CRF. So it's divided in different na mga areas or parts. Case identification, the details on the BSF, the collection details, the screening data, and the signatories. Most often than not, ang mali dito is number 1, walang signatory yung inyo pong mga referral. Walang signature si medtech, walang signature si doktor. So, paano po namin ma-assure na talagang knowledgeable tong medtech and pathologist sa pagpapadala or alam nila yung pinapadalang confirmatory referral? Another are the discrepancies in terms of encoding natin. So make sure na you have verification of another medtech as much as possible para po ma-lessen natin yung delay ng pag-process. Okay? For contested samples, for example, your syphilis, so samples retested by another facility rin and turned out reactive. So if ever po you have samples na retest and then reactive to another facility, you will be the one to send it for confirmatory to TTI NRL. So we have to replace the unit na found reactive upon the retesting of another facility. You prepare the sample and the forms, and there is a need for you to attach a letter and indicate the initial and the retested results. So in a way, you have to tell us what happened during the retesting of odd or your testing also. So make sure rin that this is signed by your pathologist or your chief medic at that regarding the contested sample. Next step, prepare the samples. So the sample requirement for HEPA B, HEPA C, HIV, your contested samples, as much as possible, your FFP, your PC, your alico na TML, and the whole blood pwede. Pero wag na po kayong magpadala dito ng PAC-RBC. So we will be, if it doesn't have an accompanying PC or FP at that, we will be rejecting your samples or request if it is PAC-RBC. So for malaria naman, only the dried blood spot ang aming i-receive. So prepare your blood units for referral to TTI-NRL ang to be sent natin. Assure natin na wala na pong mga naka-attach na needle sa atin pong mga blood units, sa atin pong mga blood bags. Assure po natin siya. Make sure also that you pack them in a separate na mga plastic. Because if ever po, halimbawa, you will be sending an FFP na na-leak na siya or broken before palang makaalis sa inyong facility, there will be contamination already of the entire batch. So sayang yung effort niyo for confirmatory testing. If it's alico, assure natin na 10 ml. We are very strict right now. Madami kaming mga rejection for QNS if it is below 10 ml because we need the volume na 10 ml because sometimes there are testing or supplemental testing that requires big volume of samples. So for example, your na testing is already 1.5 ml. So kailangan namin siya na 10 ml talaga. So assure natin na we are using a screw cap type na mga tubes natin. And if you have your parafilm, kindly use the parafilm to really make sure na wala pong leakage upon delivery dito sa TTI-NRL. Properly label your tubes kung ano pong nakalagay sa inyong mga CRF or confirmatory referral forms. For our dried blood spot, for malaria, assure po natin na properly labeled siya. Hindi po nagkakagulo. One sample per lang po per filter paper or na ginagamit natin yung Wattman 3 natin. So make sure rin also natin na ipapack natin yung samples properly for blood and blood products as much as possible in a separate na plastic. Label it natin ng maayos. For our alico, i-arrange natin sa styro rack or styro rack or styropack and then arrange na natin according to the order of your CRF. So halimbawa, ang unang mong mga request is HIV and then samples 1 to 10. So what is the arrangement in your CRF will also be the arrangement in your styrorack. For the DBS, kindly put in a plastic seal and put desiccant po in your referral. Next, attach the forms and send it to TTI-NRL. So as much as possible, i-gather po natin lahat ng mga CRF natin in a separate envelope or plastic. Assure natin na hindi siya mabasa. And then you send it to TTI-NRL, kay Ma'am Roda, yung atin pong laboratory manager. Blood service facilities, especially in the regions, will require the need for quarantine clearance from our friends at the Bureau of Quarantine. So there is actually a guideline on the transport of biologicals under the Department Memo 2018-0413. So your quarantine clearance will have some requirements, the request, the FDA approval of the study if needed, accomplished forms. You have also the document stating who is the shipper or the courier or the individual who handled the packing, that is trained and knows the rules on the shipment of infectious substances, and the airway bill. Again po, ang atin pong quarantine clearance is applicable only on that certain batch of referral. Now, timing of referral. So, samples must be referred within 1 week, especially sa mga facilities na dito lang sa Metro Manila. We would really want that you should refer the samples in 1 week after collection. If delay is anticipated, freeze an aliquot of the plasma. If it is for malaria DBS, store it at a refrigerator temperature with desiccant. We are strict again on this, on the age of the samples. We only accept samples within 3 months from the date of collection. Do not send po samples during weekends, Fridays, or holidays para ma-assure lang na ma-process natin right away yung atin pong mga samples na nire-refer. Next, I think a lot of us is familiar with this department circular, RDC 2012-0198, about the hepatitis B surface antigen cutoff points. So the guidelines for the referral of those samples that tested reactive to hepatitis B surface antigen. So highlighted here are the 4 agent kits and the cutoff points. If ever you are using these kits and they tested reactive with a particular cutoff points, there is no need for you to refer it to TTI-NRL. So instead, you consider it as a positive sample. So we are now conducting an updated version of this department circular. So hopefully it will be coming out very soon. We will see if we can update the cutoff points for those that are already in the list, or we can add more agent kits sa atin pong ipapalabas na bagong department circular. So since you are not sending confirmatory testing, if you are using those kits, you are mandated to send the hepatitis B surface antigen quarterly report form naman. Okay? You can send it via email or isama natin with our confirmatory referral for other TTIs, together with your TTI quarterly report form. So this is already a requirement for you to be able to get your EQUAS proficiency certificates. So i-assure natin na you regularly send quarterly reports to TTI-NRL. Next, sa referral, one of our problems actually is data verification, especially for those facilities that are still using yung pagsusulat, handwriting na manual sa atin pong mga CRF, as well as labeling of their tubes na manual na handwriting pa din. So sometimes we are having some verification issues. So iba po yung nakalagay sa form, iba rin yung nasa label. So the NRL po will call the blood service facility for the verification of the data being submitted for confirmatory testing. Usually sa date of collection or sa testing or sa donor code or sa serial number. So if ever we call you, the verified data shall be provided to TTI-NRL within 5 working days. So pag wala pong update, sorry, but we will be rejecting your confirmatory referral request. Now, you already referred your samples to TTI-NRL. We were able to test it already, and we have the final status. We will be releasing it to the different facilities. Our process are the following. Number 1, we'll be sending a link access of the result via email. So i-make sure po natin na hindi nakakalimutan yung password. Yung mga assigned po sa ating confirmatory referral ng mga medtechs will regularly check on the email for the results. And then you have to download the result, because it will be disappeared or inaccessible in 7 days. So sometimes we receive lots of requests for resending of the results. Pero wag naman po natin siyang gawing hobby na hindi na po natin i-access. So kindly do it on a regular basis already, yung atin pong pag-check for the results. Okay? Next, we have the updates from SACL, or our National Reference Laboratory in San Lazaro Hospital, your STD/AIDS Cooperative Central Laboratories. I think the most important one is highlighted also is the Admin Order 2019-0001, or the guidelines on the implementation of our rapid HIV diagnostic algorithm, or the RIVDA. So are we all familiar with our RIVDA? So the rationale behind RIVDA, or the purpose of RIVDA is to actually shorten the waiting time for confirmatory testing of the diagnostic patients. So that every clinic, every HIV laboratory sends their confirmatory referral to SACL for confirmation. So matagal ang waiting time, so hindi na nakakatch yung mga patients natin, late na ang pagbibigay ng gamot, and eventually some others namamatay na siya because of the late na confirmatory testing and medical intervention. So also para ma-stop na rin yung pag-spread ng virus in the community. So for those who are unfamiliar with our RIVDA, this is the scheme, a rapid HIV diagnostic algorithm. If you are an HIV laboratory and performing the HIV testing, hindi nyo na po kailangang ipadala sa SACL yung mga confirmatory referral ninyo for those that tested positive. You can actually send it already to your certified RIVDA clinical laboratory, or your CRCL. There is one CRCL in your region, in your area. So let's check on that. This is from the list of the Department of Health regarding the CRCLs, or their certified RIVDA clinical laboratories in various regions of the Philippines. So nagkaroon po ng decentralization in terms of the confirmatory testing na. So na-shorten na yung pag-wait ng mga patients natin, no? So from Region 1 to our NCR, so kindly check your area if you are both a blood service facility, a blood center, or a blood bank with additional function, and also your facility is also performing the HIV screening. So this is from DOH Department Figure 2022 0535 and 0536, your updated list of your CRCLs. Actually, if you are also blood bank hospital-based, you can actually apply to be a CRCL. So our friends from SACL will check on your application, check nila yung inyong processes, yung inyong facility, yung inyong pong mga tao. They will check if you pass in the criteria to become a CRCL, or certified RIVDA clinical laboratory. So this is how the RIVDA works. So again, this decentralization of the HIV confirmatory testing, the use of the rapid kits. So you have your SD-Bio line, you have your Alert Determine, and your Genius Biorad. So lately, ginagamit na din to replace yung atin pang Genius is our ChemBio StatPack naman. So this is the algorithm of our RIVDA. So test 0 is the test from the HIV laboratory. So you send it to a CRCL. They will be performing the RIVDA algorithm. Number 1, gagawin is yung atin pong test 1 using your SD-Bio line. If it is a reactive, test 2 will be performed. If it is non-reactive, this will be reported as inconclusive, and then it will be advised to perform retesting and send to SACL for confirmation. And then if it is reactive, your test will be performed, your ALIR. If it's non-reactive, same, inconclusive, perform retesting in 2 to 6 weeks, refer to SACL. If it is reactive in your test 2, your ALIR, you perform your ChemBio StatPack, your RIVDA test 3. If it is reactive, you can consider it already as a positive case. So mabibigay na natin agad yung resulta ng atin pong testing. So makakatch na agad, magkakaroon na ng medical intervention, mabibigyan na ng gamot yung ating pong mga patients. Malilesin na natin yung number of deaths, yung mga hindi pa nagagamot na mga HIV patients. If in test 3, it is non-reactive, same as the first 2 instances na there will be reporting as inconclusive, advised to perform testing in 2 to 6 weeks again and send the sample to SACL National Reference Laboratory. Now, consider if your test 0 is 4th generation assay, reported as inconclusive. If not, report it as negative. So other updates from SACL are Department Memorandum 2020-0276, or the interim guideline on community-based HIV screening, and Department Memorandum 2020-0532, or the revised guideline on the management of patients with hepatitis B infection. Now, your Admin Order 2020-0035 about the guidelines in the implementation of differentiated HIV testing services. Highlighted here are number 1, HIV testing. Self-testing is already an option in the community. Next is for your health provider to give consent for testing sa atin po mga mature minors. And lastly, there is no need for HIV proficiency to perform HIV testing, except if you are a CRCL, and this is not applicable for us na nasa blood service facility. Again, required pa rin po ang HIV proficiency if we are working in the blood service facility, our blood bank with additional function, and our blood center. So next, donor recall. Si TTI-NRL po really advocates for donor recall. So we would like to highlight lang po yung ating Admin Order 2010-0001, Policies and Guidelines for the Philippine National Blood Services and the Blood Service Network. So dito po sinasabi lang natin na although we maintain the confidentiality of our donors, there is a need for us to perform recalling, yung ating pong pagka-counsel and referral, if we found reactivity to the mandatory tests to appropriate na mga facilities at mga medical experts natin. We perform our donor recall, yung ating pong counseling, retesting and management, and donor for referral. Next, we go to licensing requirements. We have Department Memorandum 2018-0039 regarding the assessment tool for blood service facilities. Dito, there is an update because there's 2018-0039A. So the certificate of product registration from the FDA for the equipment, supplies, and reagents, that your BSF shall put into practice a quality assurance program. Next is the requirement for the designated donor counselor or recruitment personnel for hospital-based blood station, and the requirement for clinical thermometer sa ating pong blood station. So I would like to highlight lang po yung assessment tool natin sa ating blood service facilities. So emphasize natin on the portion on the part of the blood bank with additional function and the blood center. So recruitment and counseling natin, 1 RN is required. Ito for pre-collection and collection, you have an RMT, phlebotomist, and doctor dapat required daily. So may nai-encounter kami na walang mga doktor po pag nag-MBD or nagko-collect sa mga ibang facility upon our monitoring. So for testing and processing, we have one medtech or reliever at that. So releasing as well and other parts or process in the laboratory, transfusion management, inventory, and networking, there are designated at least one medtech. So in general, ang kailangan natin at least one medtech, 9 RMTs, we have 1 RN at saka phlebotomist. However, of course, may mga consideration na rin tayo, especially for existing natin na mga blood centers that cannot really comply with the number of RMTs. There had been a resolution in 2008 regarding this. So 6 medtechs are allowed provided that they will be using sa ating pong mga blood centers fully automated testing machine for serology and immunohematology. And then these blood centers should participate twice a year sa atin pong EQUAS program ng TTI-NRL at dapat makareceive sila ng passing marks dito. So para po ma-acceptable ang 6 medtechs only sa isang blood service facility. Now let's go to quality policies. So as a blood service facility, I hope that you have your processes in place, quality assurance program in place, guidelines, SOPs to assure that we have a very efficient na system sa atin pong mga workplaces. Department Memorandum 2009-0086B is about the implementation of EQUAS as a regulatory requirement for licensing of clinical laboratories. So dapat po we should participate in the EQUAS program. The certificate of participation of proficiency of the previous year is required. So for us po, 2 programs po sa TTI-NRL. And 2 or more consecutive failures or unsatisfactory or unacceptable results will compel you to be reclassified by the Department of Health. Now, our Department Order 2021-0037, new rules and regulation regarding clinical laboratories. Ini-emphasize lang dito na kailangan na po ang quality assurance program, biosafety training, pagkakaroon ng biosafety officer sa lahat ng klase ng mga clinical laboratories in the Philippines. So requirement na po siya. Standards. So hopefully you have this on file sa inyong mga facilities, hard copies at that. Also, the soft copy is available online, so kindly check for those that don't have the physical copies. Please read through yung atin pong mga manual of standards for blood service facilities, for donor selection and counseling, and the rational use of blood. Actually, this is very helpful, especially if meron kayong bagong medtech na hire, meron po kayong mga kailangang i-clarify in terms of the standards or processes ninyo sa laboratory. And I believe there is a new version for this manual of standards. So hopefully it will be published soon by the Department of Health. GMP or the good manufacturing practices. So in the Philippines, we don't have yet local guidelines regarding that, but we really want everyone to start performing or doing the good manufacturing practices. So these are just references for you to check. At least mayroon po tayong mga guide and referrals po, no? So we have the one from Australia, from WHO, and from AABB. These are very helpful po to check on the GMP guidelines. So we have Department Order 2022-0423 about the interim functional management structure of the Department of Health. So we used to be part of the PHST. We are under the National Volunteer Blood Services Program. So there had been some restructuring of the different teams in the Department of Health for people to have a better access to health services. Recently, we have the Department Personnel Order 2024-1876, Functional Organizational Structure of the Disease Prevention and Control Bureau, or DPCB, and the appointment of a focal person for the National Volunteer Blood Services Program Unit to oversee the policy and standard development, the strategic and operational planning, integration, and coordination of the program initiatives. So let me end this lecture with this slide. So madami na po tayong nagawa sa ating pong blood program, pero mas madami pa po tayong dapat gawin for our blood program to realize the mission and the vision of the National Volunteer Blood Services Program, that is to provide safe blood to all Filipinos. We would like to thank all of you for your time and your effort to be part of our refresher course. So if you have any question, clarification, or any concern with regards to my lecture or for the refresher course, kindly use your RITM Learn for us to discuss during our open forum. So thank you very much for your time and have a great day.